Welcome in wherever you may be. This is Three Guys Before the Game, our preview of West Virginia and the Oklahoma Sooners, and maybe a little preview. I didn't ask the senator yet. A little preview of WVU Pitt basketball, maybe a number or two, maybe.
I forgot to research that.
We'll see.
Excuse me?
I forgot to research that.
You were going to do the Pitt game. Yeah, that's right. And our homework assignment from the last show, Hoppy, you were given a project on the Netherlands and the Pitt West Virginia basketball game, and you failed miserably.
Rivalry game. Throw all the stats out the window.
Yeah. You never know when two teams get together that have none of the same players from the last year what will happen. Go ahead, try to handicap.
Beforehand, there'll be an alumni game.
Oh, Ronald Ramon, where are you? Thanks for being with us, everyone. It's episode number 416. We'll preview WVU and OU. It's brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. You can visit them online at burdettcamping.com. That's Burdett, B-U-R-D-E-T-T-E, camping.com. They've got another wonderful promotion for this week's game. So whatever the over number is online, whatever the over number is when the ball is kicked off on Saturday, if the number total goes over during the actual game, Burdett will give you $500 off parts sales service when you spend $1,000. So you've got a potential of a 50% discount when you spend $1,000.
Now you're talking.
That's real money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's real money. So whatever that number is, and right now it's 68, and it's been going up, Senator?
It's at 68.
It's been going up?
Ticked up just a little bit.
So what, like?
Started like 66, 66 and a half. Point
Okay. So that's it. So when you watch the game Saturday, add up the two scores at the end of the game. If it's over 68 points, if that's what the number happens to be, you get $500 when you spend $1,000 at Burdett Camping. Three Guys also brought to us by Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Visit them at comaxwv.com. comaxwv.com. They can take care of what you may ask. Well, any kind of office equipment that you need, from printers to hole punchers. Sure about the hole puncher, but they got that stuff. But then more importantly, 24/7, and they do that with the Minolta brand, 24/7 remote monitoring of your IT services, managed IT service. They can also manage your phone systems, your voice, your phone systems, and gives you that peace of mind that you need. And then the other thing you need to know whenever you do business with anyone is, are they good? And the answer is, like if they were a recruit, they'd be 5-star. They've been named an elite dealer by ENX Magazine 10 times. No other dealer in West Virginia has ever won the award once, and they've won it 10. So they're like the John Wooden of...
Or the Celtics.
Or the old Celtics. Casey Jones, Bill Russell, Hondo Havlicek.
Bob
Cousy, Tommy Heinsohn, Sam Jones.
Bill Russell.
Red Allback. Dave Cowens.
Danny Ainge.
JoJo White. Paul Silas. Cornbread Maxwell. Bill Walton. Bert Everett.
Dennis Johnson.
He's dead. You know that?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if Bert Everett ever played for him, but I just wanted to stick Bert Everett in there. All right. So on our program today, we will conversate about the Mountaineers and the Sooners. And we will also talk a little bit about West Virginia's first basketball game against the Mountaineers of Mount St. Mary's. And things are going to get busy in hoopage. We're going to play Friday. We're going to play Tuesday. We're going to play again next Friday. So then those will be 4 games before they go to Portland. I think we get a text from Portland. I think we have a listener that texts from Portland. So I think. So if you are the listener that listens in Portland, and I would imagine, I'd be stunned if you don't go to one of the 3 games that they play. Stop by, say hello. As you know, I'm the friendly member of Three Guys. I meet the people. I don't hide from the people. I meet the people. You know why? Because you either get busy living or you get busy dying. And these two guys. Senator, you've crunched the numbers. Your abacus has been busy this week. You're running multiple, I'm sure, how they do those. They run those things. They just run the permutations of numbers. What has to happen here for a WVU victory?
Can we do macro before we do micro?
Sure.
Oh, good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Go ahead. In fact, you can go first.
Oh, really?
Go ahead. Take your macro first.
Okay, all right.
Then I'll
Get your little legal pad out there, Junior. What do you have?
Then I'll take macro. Then we'll go into the two matchups I think you need to watch.
Because I got micro too, but I'll go macro.
Yeah,
Macro is okay. Don't roll your eyes. This game comes at a good time.
That's interesting.
Okay?
Interesting thought.
Because West Virginia. You got to have something here, right? Okay, so you got a home game, and you're a better home, and you have a name opponent, that is reeling a little bit. 5-4. I listened to a podcast this week. Oh my gosh, what's the point of playing the rest of the season? They've already lost 4 games. You're not going to be in the Final Four. I guess
Tom will take a forfeit.
Yeah, I guess you're playing. So they're having this. West Virginia is obviously having a disappointing season. That's disappointing by Oklahoma standards. Brent Venables got snippy with the press after the loss last week. So you catch them, and now they got to come play at 11 o'clock Eastern time. And if you're West Virginia, you're saying, we're playing Oklahoma. Oklahoma, the team that's won how many national championships and 7 Heisman Trophy winners, and it's Mountaineer Week. And this is a good opportunity for West Virginia. I like the situation, Brad. I like the situation.
Situational spot
I am.
analysis.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I landed in a similar spot that you did. Is that as I'm reading and listening and talking to their folks, we had Toby Rowland on Sportsline last night. They're in similar spots.
Yeah.
Right? West Virginia fan base on fire. Can't stand it that you've won 3 and you've looked so bad in these last games and they're going bananas. You're right. Oklahoma's fans are going bananas too.
Yeah.
It's just a different level of expectation.
Exactly.
And so they're out of their minds about what's happening. And you listen to the conversations they're having about their defense, and it sounds like what we've said week after week after week.
It
So,
does.
Both are in similar spots. I'll couch it this way, and it's similar to what you said, but here's how I'm looking at this. We keep going through with this West Virginia team and saying, well, I tell you what, you can get back on track here. Top 10 TCU's coming in. Go ahead and get back on track. Okay, that didn't happen. Now move there. We are going to take on Iowa State, and they haven't won. Go get back. Well, okay, that didn't happen either. It's almost as if this is your last one, man. I mean, if you don't come out swinging and take advantage because of what you just said about a reeling Oklahoma program, an Oklahoma program that has never walked on the field and been unsure about who they are. They're unsure about who they are, right? They don't have the swagger
That's
that
right.
they've had the entire time West Virginia's been in this league, where you looked at and go, look, they're Oklahoma down there. They don't have that. They're not walking in with that. And you're at home. So here's the last thing I can hang my hat on if I'm West Virginia. You are better at home. You knocked off Baylor. You played right there with TCU. You play at home against a team that is reeling. If this isn't a game where you stand up and fight and punch them in the face and go get a win, then I'm out of things to say. We might have to just make this a basketball podcast for the final 2 weeks. Because this to me feels like they're charging at your gates and you're bringing everybody else lining up right at the gate saying, come on with it. We're ready to fight you.
It's interesting you said that because just a few seconds ago I had the Braveheart thing in my head.
That's
Basically,
what I'm picturing.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
You're just saying like, this is the last one.
This is it.
We're either gonna live or we're gonna die, but we're gonna go out with our guns ablaze.
We're going to stand right in front of you. We're no longer going to try and get higher ground and snipe you from over here and come around the backside. TCU, you're sleeping, and we're going to get you while you're sleeping, much like you did to that boar. We're not doing that. This is simply we're walking out the front door and standing at midfield while they enter the building and say, let's go. And if you don't do that, I'm out. I don't have anything else. I'm out.
I think
if you don't stand up and fight this week.
Then when do you? And back to this Oklahoma thing, they got 4- and 5-star guys. Okay, they always do, but they're not. Something's missing there, Tony. And again, you listen to their podcast, and they're lamenting like you would say, "Where's the alpha dog? Where's the Nick Benito?"
Ooh,
right? I mean, where's the guy that would grab a guy with a face mask with his own team and say, "Get
Brian
in there"?
Bosworth, Rocky Boyman,
So there's a sense there.
Leroy Selman,
brother, in there.
There's a sense there that something's missing.
Kenneth Murray.
Kenneth Murray.
Too bad he didn't want to be a Mountaineer. Too bad he didn't want to be a
should-be Mountaineer, Kenneth Murray.
Yeah.
Who might be in Morgantown as we speak, listening to this podcast. He's here frequently.
No, he plays for the NFL now. Anyway, sorry.
So maybe, like we have done many, many times, we're talking ourselves into something. But I do think that situationally, situationally, you have an opportunity here. And as Brad said, take advantage of it, make something happen, changes the narrative. But if you don't, then I think everybody's going to be, okay.
You know, they're saying some of the same things on defense that we've talked about. They're asking, why can't guys get lined up in the right spot? Why does it look like their head's spinning? Why are they on roller skates? And if they can't get lined up properly, now why are they still playing? Well, there's not guys come in behind them. I heard one of their guys said today, the margin of error is so thin that you get a couple key mistakes at key times, and that seems to be happening over and over to Oklahoma, then you're just completely thrown off. Man, have we said that a bunch?
Oh.
Right? You get a holding call on second down, and all of a sudden the whole thing falls apart.
Here's what Steve Dunlap said. I talked to him yesterday, and he watched a bunch of film. And Dunlap said, Brad, to build on what you said, is that, you know, they got these 4- and 5-star guys on defense, but they don't get lined up right. They make mistakes. And, you know, Brent Venables is a defensive guy. And Dunlap said they try to do a lot of really sophisticated things, a lot of different things. Oh, they're odd man front. Now they're 4-man front. Now they're doing a zone blitz. Now they're doing this. Now they're doing press. Doing all these different things. Maybe so many that they can't execute all those things. So they make mistakes.
I don't think there's any question that's what it is. I talked to a couple people outside of West Virginia this week, and they said they try to stop everything. And so as a result, they're not really good. Jack of all trades, master of none. I think eventually he'll get to it, but he's been there for one spring and one preseason camp, but they didn't get it because they lost a ton of players too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we sit here and we talk about guys West Virginia lost. They also did. And even regardless, you're seeing what happens. It doesn't matter what your name of your school is. If you lose the wrong guys and they're not experienced and can't adjust quick enough, you suffer through some stuff. That's a very interesting take from both of you guys. Both of you guys are saying situational, basically, this is it. Flag down. Whatever happens, happens. We're either going to live or die. Let's go. Interesting.
Because the only thing this program has left at this point in the season to live off of is they're better at home, right? Now, we say that, and they're what? They're 1-2 in Big 12 play at home, but they have played better and been competitive in games. That's what's left. Because when we start talking about the next road trip, I mean, what possibly are we going to say about that? That there isn't anything to say about West Virginia's next road trip until you see them go out and perform on the road.
Right.
That might be the shortest podcast in history.
45 seconds.
I mean, 3 straight, they just have been no-shows. So I am not going down 10 lines of analytics on the next road trip. It's simply show up and show me something. But at home games, that has been different. This has been a different team. Can it show up and get a win? Not just play with them. Can you knock them off and get a win?
Which you've never done.
Which you haven't done.
Since you've been in the conference together.
So that was all your macro?
That's a macro.
You got any like super micro?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Give me one.
All right. So here's one.
This is kind of like trick or treat. Like,
yeah.
give me the almond. Give me the mounds. Box.
We've done this before, but let's look at the running game. Which team can run it? Because that's the flip side of Oklahoma that we'll talk about in a minute. Their offense is still pretty good. It may not be the video game stuff that we're used to seeing, but it's pretty good. When Dylan Gabriel's healthy and playing, this offense is going to score points, and it's probably going to score points on this West Virginia defense, so you're going to have to keep up. So who can run it? OU's rush offense is 6th nationally in average line yards. That's that stat we used last week. It's basically just a metric to measure how well the offensive line is playing. 6th nationally, rush offense. Going against a West Virginia defense that is 76th in that category. Can West Virginia play above its head there? That's a big advantage OU. Can West Virginia play above its head and slow the run game down a little bit? Pro Football Focus grades Oklahoma's overall run defense run offense, as the 16th best nationally. And they rate the run blocking unit as the 15th best. A pretty good run game.
Mm-hmm.
Can you stop the run? Conversely, West Virginia is 42nd nationally in average line yards, going against an Oklahoma defense that is 66th in that category. So it'd help if you get Tony Mathis back.
He's back.
Can you run? Can you run? Got to run. We keep saying this. This group has to run. It hasn't shown an ability to drop back and pass exclusively and win. It has to run. You've got an OU defense that has been giving up rushing yards. Can you take advantage? OU's defense is 92nd in opportunity rate. That's the percentage of times that a team gains 4 yards on you. 92nd. There's only 131 teams, one of the worst in the country. You've got to gouge these guys on the ground. Now, if you go back to the week before, and we talked a lot about Oklahoma's defense getting ready for Iowa State, what did Oklahoma do to Iowa State? Because they knew they're not very good at run defense, right? And they knew Iowa State wanted to run. They didn't want Hunter Deckers to drop back and throw it over and over. So they brought an extra guy down. They just overloaded the box and said, you will not run it on us. So do we see that from them? Do they think they can shut down the passing game with what they've got and bring an extra guy down? So just something to keep an eye on. They did that to Iowa State. Iowa State couldn't answer.
Mm-hmm. How about what Oklahoma did not do in the Baylor game? And that is Baylor ran for 300 yards. Mm-hmm. Squirrel Williams.
Excuse me?
Squirrel, Squirril. Squirrel Williams, backup at Baylor.
Yeah.
Ran for 195. I think 195 on 192 on 25 carries. So they gouged him on the ground. Now maybe Squirrel Williams is pretty good. I think they have high hopes for him, but still,
that's pretty impressive because Richard Reese is really good. The freshman,
because Reese was hurt, right?
He's really good.
Better run it.
Yeah, Tony Mathis has to have the same kind of a game that he did against Baylor.
And it's going to be offensive line. I mean, that offensive line's got to create some space. And the numbers tell you should be able to against this OU defense. You want to talk pass for just a second? Pass offense?
I got nowhere to go.
I wasn't a ringing endorsement. I wanted to talk about it. I mean, it sounds like you're a hostage here and we're talking about it. So this game features the 2 lowest graded coverage units in the Big 12. West Virginia and Oklahoma. West Virginia being last. This game also includes the 8th and 10th graded pass rush units in the Big 12. So the worst in Oklahoma, West Virginia at 8th. Will JT Daniels have time?
You would think
those numbers tell
right?
you you've got time. So are the receivers ready to catch the ball? Is he ready to deliver the ball when given time? When Daniels has been kept clean, he's thrown for 12 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions. But when under pressure, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. Now, not a surprise. You're under pressure. Your numbers are not going to be the same. When under pressure, though, there's only 3 Power 5 quarterbacks that have dealt with more drops by wide receivers than Daniels has.
Wow.
So it's not prisoner of the moment for us. These guys are dropping it at an alarming rate.
Especially when pressured.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a team that has not pressured very well all year, last in the league. Give him time, throw it, and guess what? Catch the ball and go make some plays because you're going to have to score a bunch because their offense is going to score. I just said Dylan Gabriel's really good. When he's not pressured, Gabriel, 70% completion percentage, 15 touchdowns, only 3 picks.
Yeah.
So you better go get in his face or he's going to gouge you.
Let's go back to West Virginia's passing and catching or not catching. So in the last game, JT Daniels and Garrett Green had 7 bad passes. Now, not long, and that's excluding the long passes because that's who knows what's going to happen there. 7 bad passes, and there were 5 drops. That's 12. That's 12 missed opportunities there. So you got to clean that up, which brings me to the next point is this whole thing about JT Daniels is everybody says, looks like something's wrong there. Looks like something's wrong. And when Neil Brown's asked about it, he says a variety of things, but he says, well, you have to ask him. But then he wasn't available after the game and he wasn't available this week. So you can't ask him. So the question is there something wrong with him physically because he is not performing? He's not, I mean, there's something different about the way he's throwing now than when he did early on. Because early on, Tony, what did we say? Gosh, he's like throwing the fastball. It's right there all the time. So something looks different.
There's no question something looks different. And if he's physically injured, no one within the program, as far as Coaches, no, because they're not whispering that. They're not raising an eyebrow. They're not going like, not lowering their head. And, well, maybe I'd be a little. No, zero. Now, is he and not saying a single word? I don't know. The one thing that he wanted to do this season was what?
Play with not get injured.
Not get injured. And the worst thing he would probably be thinking is, if I get injured again, then I'm just going to be labeled as you can't trust him because he gets injured, right? So is he? I don't know. But there's absolutely something going on, because he certainly does not have the efficiency that he displayed earlier this season.
But isn't that an odd thing for Neil Brown to say, who we have remarked many, many times is candid and answers questions, but to say, along with other things, he talked about the pressure of Iowa State and the defense and was sort of, couching a little bit, but to say that you'd have to, ask him, that's an odd thing coming from him. Brad, you agree?
Yeah, in fact, I said that after his press conference in the moment when he said it, because JT wasn't then made available to ask. So, yeah, I think it's odd, but I think you're both right. I think it looks different. The last three halves, it has looked different. And if it looks different again against Oklahoma, you're going to add another loss on this. This is a group that you can attack through the ground and through the air. You better go put some points on the board.
Yeah. That was really good. That was good analysis by both you guys. I think Sparky over there, he's really, he answers to the challenge. I mean, he used to get obliterated in past years. He gets so bummed out, he'd look over at your shoulder to try to get some of your notes, and now he's gone. he's gone into work, and now I'm sure he sets up 2 candles on Wednesday nights and gets a bunch of abacuses and numbers, and gets some manuals, gets the old Athlons out, shakes it off.
In fairness, some of my material may be borrowed that I learned from somebody else, and I want to go back to Dunlap, because Dunlap was in yesterday. We finally got him a key to the building. Season's almost over.
Take your time, no hurry.
Key to the building. So we were talking, he made a great point. I mean, as a coach, it's always good to get a coach's perspective. And we talk about, the injuries and the departures in the defensive backfield. And with, Raleigh Collins and Muhammad have had to play a lot of football, right? And he says, and so the obvious thing is, well, they haven't played a lot of football. So they're going to make mistakes, or it's going to be not really ready to go. The other thing is, they haven't practiced, right? So, at the start of the year, they're not practicing with the ones or maybe even the twos. So midpoint through the season, they're not getting the reps in practice. And practice is limited. They're not out there for 3 hours getting 50 plays. So, Tony, not only have they not played, they haven't practiced.
Oh, I get it.
So it's hard to get, and then every week, and teams figure out, the other team isn't stupid. They figure out like, wow, we're going to change some formations, make it look slightly different so that they're confused. So it's very hard for these young guys to adjust because they haven't been able to practice. Fair?
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, they're obviously just
talented, but not experienced.
I'm sure given the opportunity, they would love to take a 12-week hiatus right about now and have spring ball again.
Yeah.
And then say, okay, let's finish. Yeah, they would love to do that, but obviously that doesn't count. I also think when this season ends, I think I'd be very interested to know how mentally damaging the first 2 losses were. Did they lose their mojo or thought as to who they were by dropping those first 2 and coming out of that gate at 0-2? I just wonder. What would have been different had they won those 2 games? They would have thought they were a lot better than they were.
That
which
might
is
be
about
a better way to word that.
About 9/10 of the battle right there.
Yeah, it might be more noticeable if they were wins, and it elevates you a little bit more than what you probably are.
Then you walk on the field like Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
But what have you seen? But the last couple of games, what have you seen? You've still seen intensity, specifically defensive intensity, and the defense getting a little better.
They're getting a little better. Yeah.
Okay? Offense is a different story. So you're seeing that defensive intensity is still there and the defense improving.
Yeah.
Now, some of that, to be fair, that's a part of that's opponent adjusted for Iowa State.
Absolutely.
But if you look at the second half of the TCU game, I think that's a fair point. That's a legitimately really good offense that West Virginia found a way to slow down in the
So you're saying
half.
6 quarters of improvement.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I
had someone request on the text line if they could have the tracks for textual healing. Like, could you send me the song?
It's go by the record store. It's in the A side on the 45.
Before we do that, I do want to real quick, we've got very good listeners who get it and who understand. I do want to tell you about a special video that's available for you to watch called the Veterans Table, part of the West Virginia Enriched Program. So 13,000 veterans here in West Virginia. 13,000. Think about that. Think about the Coliseum filled. 13,000 do not have enough to eat here in West Virginia. Huntington Bank, Mountaineer Food Bank are providing food to those who served us. And you can find out how you can help. Go to WVMetronews.com. Watch an amazing video about the Mountaineer Food Bank and the Veterans Table program. What they're doing right now is they're doing that program once a month in Beckley and in Clarksburg, but they're going to grow it to Parkersburg and Charleston. So an opportunity for you to support that. You can check it out. It's quite a deal. And the folks at Huntington Bank supporting it, and you can take a look too.
Can I tell you one other thing on this before you go to textual healing is that I just checked the newspaper in Norman, and their preview story on the game is Oklahoma searching for consistency. Does that sound? Yeah. We're talking about similarities. Does that sound similar to another program we know about?
I listened to a little snippet of your interview with Oklahoma's play-by-play voice Toby Rowland from last night. Well, it sounds like their natives are
restless. Yeah,
they're like they're going, well, best we could be is 8-4. And that's not what we're about. We're about conference championships and play CFP.
Yeah, they're not thrilled about maybe going to the Liberty Bowl or the Cheez-It Bowl or any of those. So that's why I think we open that same way. Their fan base is irate as well. It's just different expectations for the program. But I think both have underachieved relative to what you thought the preseason hopes were for each group.
We'll get into some basketball when we do textual healing. What do you say we just talk? Why don't we just start it right now? Oh.
Record player sounds good.
The number 304-404-4083. It's pretty amazing we get as many texts as we do because I never give the number. You guys never give the number.
Well, that's your job. You're the host.
If you're watching on the graphic, we don't even tell you to text.
Call us.
Just call. Nobody calls.
And also, by the way, only call if you can find a phone like that. We've talked about that too.
304-404-4083.
Phone cord coming out of it.
As we said, you can only find it on the sideline at Milan Pushkar Stadium.
Or you can fax us.
They don't exist anywhere else.
They don't. It's amazing. Like a guy goes to the side, picks up the phone. Hello?
Mine's
gone dead.
Major League Baseball dugouts might have something similar, though.
They do, yeah.
They got a corded phone in there.
You got everything in the stadium, all this new stuff. You go to a corded phone.
The wife showed me this dude on TikTok. I think it was TikTok, not Instagram. He gets questions that college freshmen ask, and they're just mind-blowing, how just like zonked out they don't get it. And one of them was, what's the number to Twitter Spaces? What's the number to Twitter Spaces? All right. They had another box in there that said, in case of emergency, personal emergency number. Kid put 911. Randy in State College checks in. Like many WVU fans, I'm being tested. I love the Mountaineers, but it's getting hard to maintain my level of interest. I thought last year was hard. Boy, I was wrong. I'm starting to think about the portal. Unfortunately, we're not a top 20 program, haven't been for a number of years, so although I hate to put it in writing, I put us in the 21 through 50 team feeder group. Those teams that lose some of their best players to the top 20 pick up some decent portal players from other feeder schools that just feel like they need a new start. What worries me is the number of players we lost last year, and as a result, the number of portal players brought in. I don't have the real numbers, but it feels like we're in the top 10% of schools in number of players lost. Hugs talks about needing 10 games in the non-conference to get chemistry right. In football, 10 games is a season. Feels like a disaster until the portal deal settles down. So here is my question. Where do you put the number of players leaving this year, the over and the under at 13.5? I love the show. So that's obviously a impossible question to ask. I don't think that we can give you a really good number where we give you a number right now and go, hey, you guys hit that. I just zero idea. I think teams all across the country right now, as we get ready for the portal to open back up in December, I think teams have an internal list. And they have the guys that they think might go on the portal, through the portal. I think they have a list of guys they hope go into the portal. I think every team has that.
There'll be some of those.
There'll be some of those.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, and this is a good point of discussion, there's another group of players that are on your roster that, as crazy as this sounds, I'm not even going to use the word re-recruit. You have to lock them down. You have to go to them proactively and sit down and say, hey, we really want you to be part of this program, and we love what you're doing. And we want to get you to make sure that you stay here, and we're ready to see what the best situation is for you NIL-wise. And this is what we think we can do. That's going on, folks, believe it or not, in every program in the country for the very same reason that Randy's asking that question. The Akeem Mesidor story from last spring, right? That is one that just you're not going to guarantee yourself that it won't happen again, but you have to at least be proactive in trying, okay? That's going to happen here. It's going to happen at every school. You try to lock them in so that you don't have those Akeem Mesidor moments. Now, that takes us to the next piece of that conversation. NIL dollars and collectives. Each school has them, representing them. The school does not run it, okay? So the question for West Virginia going forward is, do you have enough money in your collective so that when I sit down with, fill in the blank with whatever player you want to use, and I'm not going to do it but let's just say Hoppy, Lord believe me, was a good player you'd want to keep. You have to sit down to Hoppy, and you're going to give him X number of dollars. And then Brad, I have to get Brad, and he's going to need X number of dollars. So here's where West Virginia can get hurt. If West Virginia does not have enough money to compete against the other schools that it recruits against, the problem where West Virginia is in right now isn't going to be a short-term problem. It's going to be a very long-term problem. And believe it or not, you don't have to have the same dollar numbers of the teams in your conference because you're not recruiting against the teams in your conference, right? We're not head-to-head with Texas or Texas Tech, but you better have enough dollars for the schools that you're recruiting against. So is that Pitt, Virginia Tech, Maryland, Syracuse, North Carolina State, Georgia Tech, Florida State. I'm just kind of going down the areas where West Virginia normally has gotten players from. Rutgers. Sometimes you get a player from New Jersey. That is going to be the most fundamental question, I think, going forward for West Virginia's future. Do you have the dollars in order to lock your players in and then go get players? That's what this is. And if someone turned this on and had been in a coma for the last 6 years, right? And are hearing this now for the first time, you're going like, what? No, that's where it's come. So that's the biggest fundamental question going forward is, can West Virginia get the players? And I'll stop here, kind of, sort of, then these guys can riff off of it. But here's the other point. Go back and look at successful seasons by West Virginia football teams in the past. And what was the common factor? They had good players. And the good players played in the NFL. And unless you have those players, you're not going to compete in this league. And when Neil got here, there was one, Colton McKivitz. And right now, there's probably 3 to 5 that are on the team right now that could play.
5?
High, maybe. I don't know about some of the babies that are true freshmen right now that could potentially.
Of the guys that are playing, though,
Zach Frazier, Wyatt Milam, Jordan Jefferson, Dante Stills.
Okay.
I'm not guaranteeing those guys.
Nestor probably gets a look.
Doug Nestor. So you're in that range. So he inherited it. There was 1. Now he's got it at like 5. And some of these babies, like, does Jacoby Spells become a NFL player? He's such a baby right now, a true freshman. Maybe he does. I mean, he's shown you a couple of pops already. Go like, ooh, that stands out for a true freshman. Is Charles Woods a guy? If he were to be healthy, is he a guy? So you see what I'm saying? And until you get to that level of getting up into 9, 10, 12, 13, you're not going to compete, or you're going to compete, but you're not going to be legitimate in this league. Okay, so that's my whole long spiel.
Don't disagree with any of it. Here's what I just continue to say since I've said since day one. This whole system's asinine. It's asinine. Neil needs good players, so in order to be able to have some funds to go get good players, he's got to go talk to people in an office building. That he can't just go get the players that he wants. You've got a nearly $100 million operation in athletics, and they can't fund the players, which they can't, Hop. This, to me, the way this thing is set up, you got to get it fixed sometime soon. There is no reason the football program should have to go to an outside entity to ask, do you have the money to pay the guy that we want? It's just outrageous. So start with that. So I also, through this, keep having people come up to me and tell me, and I don't know why these people are always in Charleston, but it's always, there's a bunch of people in Charleston that are willing to pay $1 million for a buyout. There's a bunch of people, I got 8 guys down in Charleston, I'm going to pay 8 guys, 7 guys. I mean, I'm getting it all week.
There's always 8
You say I don't
guys.
talk to anybody, you'd be stunned where I just got talked to about this the other day, where I was.
But let me just say something. So I've been here almost 40 years. Those same people in Charleston, if I had
they were in Charleston when you first started, too?
When I first started in 1984. Well, there's some guys down in Charleston. No, there's 4 guys down in Charleston. No, there's 3 guys down. I talked to some friends down in Charleston. These guys in Charleston. Yeah, guess what? Them and Bigfoot. Those are the ones I've seen so far. The guys in Charleston. Anyway, go ahead. Your point.
So these guys in Charleston might not exist? I just wonder why they're never in Parkersburg or Martinsburg.
There is one exception. I'll let you finish. Was the time when Jay Rockefeller did get the guys from Charleston in a room and pass that.
So that's what I was about to say. So let's get the guys,
whoever they are,
whoever they may be, and instead of maybe paying somebody to not be here, those people need to put the money into the collective. I mean, I think that's where, now in all seriousness, that's where the thing is switching. And that's what we've said, and that's why eventually the athletic departments are going to have to get control of this thing, and it's going to have to funnel through them. It's coming, and you put it on payroll. But at some point, that's what needs to be funded, right? That's if you're sitting out there with money and you want to help the program and you've got it, that's probably. I mean, maybe I'm running the collective now. Maybe I should just be the salesperson for the collective, because if you need money for the collective, somebody better be asking, is the collective out there raising any money? What's the collective doing? Because if they're going to have to get the players, and you can't be good unless you get the players, and you can't get the players unless you pay some money, then the collective better get moving, man. Collective better get moving.
That's you guys.
So maybe the 8 guys in Charleston can help out and get the collective jump started there.
So no,
that everybody was telling me about all week.
Okay, so let's just do hypotheticals that are hypotheticals. Well, I got 4 guys in Charleston, and they're going to put $1 million up there. Okay, you're going to buy out that. No, don't do that. If you got 4 guys in Charleston who are ready to spend $1 million, put it in the collective. Then you know what West Virginia can go do with $4 million plus in the collective? They can go get some players.
Because now play it further. Because if and that's not how the buyout's going to work if that gets to that point. But let's just say it does, hypothetically. Let's just play along with this game that everybody thinks this is how it happens. Let's play along. You drop your money to buy out the coaching staff, and then the new coach rolls in and is going to say what?
I need money in the collective to go get players.
Can somebody get some money in that collective? And now you're going to go back to the 8 guys down in Charleston again. I mean, maybe you can go to Parkersburg this time and find them and say, and those guys are going to say, I don't have any money. I already gave it to get rid of the coach that's not here. Well, what's the coach doing with the money you just gave him? I don't know. He's sitting on the beach somewhere. He's not coaching. So, right? I mean, I don't need to be here to be a sales vehicle for the collective. It doesn't matter to me. But if I'm looking at the way this ridiculous structure is set up, the collective has to start coming up with the money to go get more guys or what you think are better guys, and that's the other part. Then the evaluation becomes important. You can't be missing on guys. Guys you bring in better be good, and especially if you're paying them $40,000, $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. You better get some return off that. So the evaluation has to go hand in hand with the money that's coming in.
All right, I want to,
Fair?
Brad, let me.
Yes.
You can't miss.
No, you're right.
But I want to pick up on the word you said, return, like ROI. So if you're going to fire the coach, you got to raise $16, $20 million. So you're saying, will you give us money to pay a guy to not work here? Wow, okay, well, what's ROI? Or will you give us money so we can pay players who are going to perform here? Where's your ROI?
Yeah. Ryan Day caused a big deal of publicity last offseason when he said, I need $13 million to pay players. And people lost their mind. You know what? Probably on it. Now, 13 is a hot number, but I've asked in the last week. Brad and I have a friend outside of West Virginia who just became the executive director of a collective. And the dollars that the other schools just in the league, and I know we're not competing against them, but they're in the, they've got $2.5 and $3.5 and $4 million sitting in their collective. And you got a billionaire at Texas Tech who's paying every student athlete $20K. So the good news is we don't have to recruit against Texas Tech. We have to play them, but we don't have to recruit against them. But that, regardless, I think the most salient point coming out of this little conversation that we're having is regardless of who the head coach is at West Virginia University going forward, the collective and the money pool that you have to buy players, just frickin' say it, buy players to come to your school and play, that has got to change. That's the one thing that's changed since Neil Brown got here. The creation of NIL and paying kids. And West Virginia was a little late to the party in getting its collective started. The other ones jumped it, and we were late. Like last December, I finally got up and was churning it. So that's the future going forward. That's the future going forward. All right, Texter. I've turned my focus entirely toward basketball. It's better for my mental health. I've never heard exactly how we ended up getting Josiah Davis and Perez from Manhattan on campus. Are they both NIL deals, or did Hugs find a way to get them on scholarship? Is there plans to give Davis a scholarship next year if he's not on the scholarship?
As Brad said, Perez was on the waiver wire.
That was that was irrevocable waivers.
Yeah. I mean, he was out there and you grabbed him.
Yeah. Always a West Virginia connection. I was talking to Neil this week. Steve Masiello, who was the coach at Manhattan that got popped, he was in school with Neil when they were at Kentucky.
Really?
Yeah. Small world. So you have 13 players on scholarship in men's basketball. And this won't make you go, this won't be an exact answer. I'll give you this one. It always works out. Right, Brad? Have you ever seen a time where it hasn't worked out?
It's interesting. I understand the question, and I get why you'd ask, because for years we've always done this. You've done the now. I don't even look at it. I don't even know what the requirements. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want a player, bring a player.
Yeah.
You want a player on a Tuesday that you didn't have last Friday? Fine, just bring a player in. You got online classes, whatever, fine. You need NIL money, fine. Here it is. I mean, whatever.
Played at 4 schools.
Whatever.
Seventh year.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm not the one. If you want to answer that, I can't. I don't know. I don't follow that.
How much time have you guys spent over your careers talking about, well, he's got to meet a certain standard. Well, he's got to do that. Well, he's got to do that. Well, can the NCAA approve it?
Poor Hunter doesn't know what to talk about on recruiting because he was always so good at the numbers. Well, they're going to be at 22. They got 12. Like, he doesn't know what to do when we talk about that. Like, he's still kind of done. I say, great, doesn't matter. Don't care. You can bring in whatever you want. Doesn't matter.
It used to be written with
a scientist, with data scientist with those numbers and can project ahead. That doesn't matter, whatever.
Hopefully the NCAA will prove this. And
which truly now in football there isn't a rule, right? You can bring in, as long as you don't go over the 85, you can bring in 63 guys this year if you want. As long as you don't go over the 85 scholarship. That 25 per year limit is abolished. It's off. Doesn't exist.
No rules.
Yeah, I mean, you used to write it down with a permanent marker, and now it's an Etch-a-Sketch.
Like, oh no, they only have 3
to write it down.
But 4 guys are coming in. That's hence the blue shirt. Hence the ridiculous blue shirt. Like all those, you got a gray shirt, you got a red shirt, you got a blue shirt. What's the blue shirt mean again? Well, they're going to pay their own way for a little bit, then they get on scholarship.
Yeah.
We're going to blue shirt him for a while then.
Plus, high school kids now just show up. Well, they didn't finish their senior year, but they're here on campus.
So we talked a couple of episodes ago how there are some people that are OCD and infatuated with media rights deals, and we're certainly not going down that road again. But there is also another group of people that are absolutely OCD about scholarship numbers and recruits.
Love that.
Like this guy right here, like Scott. No, he's from Scott Depot. He signs his name as Clown from Scott Depot. But like there are other people that watch that thing. Here's my deal, folks. If you're one of those people, give yourself
Get a hobby.
Don't. And I'm not being mean to you. Just like it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Trust me when I tell you this. Someone on the team's going to leave. There'll be another scholarship open. It always happens that way. So don't even sweat it. There's bigger things for you.
Young man will find another opportunity.
Yeah. So, by the way, the guy that signs his name Clown from Scott Depot said, P.S. This is something here that really got hot this week. I've been a season basketball ticket holder, and I've been parking at the Burger King for the last 5 years. Apparently, he's referring to the one on Pattison Drive.
Okay.
They towed my car Monday during the game. Cost me more money than my season tickets. Hashtag boycott BK. Hashtag Chick-fil-A would never tow.
Wow.
Well, wait a minute. Why you? I don't want to get in trouble with Clown, but I mean, that's Burger King's parking lot, right? I mean, did you get permission, or are you going to pay them, or I mean, it's not public parking.
Well, Hop, hold your thought because there are multiple people that suffered through the Burger King situation.
Oh, wait a minute. Got a call right now from Burger King.
Ronald McDonald calling Hoppy. Ronald McDonald just called Hoppy, said, I told you those people at Burger King weren't good people. Mason from Morgantown, I see that we have 3 different instances where we have back-to-back road games, Saturday, Monday in the Big 12. I assume this will cut down on travel time significantly by being able to stay out west between games. I think Huggs' Hall of Fame induction may finally be getting him some respect. As someone who travels with the team, how much do you think this will help the team's overall traveling fatigue? I'm an outlier. I've gone on record on multiple occasions about the travel. I don't think Huggs' Hall of Fame induction has anything to do with the fact that they were given 3 road trips out there. Instead of going out 9 times and going out 6 times certainly does help. But it is what it is.
You got to like that. You get a Sunday off then, right?
Yeah, it depends on where the Sunday is. Like our first Sunday's in Stillwater. And, okay.
All due respect.
With all due respect, it's the Best Western in Stillwater. It's like.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I get it.
He closes his comment by this. Lastly, after 10 years of parking at Burger King for the basketball games, my car was towed last night. It's absolutely shameful that a local business whose success is heavily dependent on WVU athletics would do this. What a joke.
Well, you're not. I don't get that.
Next call, JR in Morgantown. Hello. The following is a public service announcement for any Mountaineer fans that will be going to basketball games this season. Do not park at the Burger King. I and many others have been parking there for nearly a decade, including Bowling Green last week without any issues until last night. When I asked Burger King management why I was towed, I couldn't even get a straight answer. Maybe it's because they were bored since they only get about 10 customers a day. Not a smart business strategy for a failing restaurant. Anyway, to all my fellow Burger King parkers, watch out. JR in Morgantown.
Now, I wonder if you ate there before you started your walk and said, I'm eating, but I did park there. Please don't have me towed. I just spent money here. Wonder if that would change that.
Might be a way.
Well, what if you went to, I don't.
Why don't you go across the street to C&MA Church, and they either park for free and like give you food or like $5, at least they used to. It's like, just, okay, fine. Three guys. I generally think you're great at capturing the sentiments of Mountaineer fans, but I think you may be misreading how widespread the apathy is about the football program. Many Ultra fans in my circle are not watching games. They're taking naps during games and are generally apathetic about the future. This is what I find most concerning. Do you feel like this is a widespread issue, and does that concern you?
Well, it's a legitimate concern. I mean, if there is growing apathy, which this texter says there is, then that will be reflected in going to games, buying tickets, merchandise purchases, and all those things. So that's and if you finished 3-8, 3-9, and don't fire the coach.
Hoppy went old school 11-game season.
You finish
Burned the brain with the 11 games. I
if
get
you
it.
finish 3-7.
It's a hard switch to get to 12. I get it.
If you finish 3-6, and that includes the bowl game.
You got to win. I mean, yeah, we get it. Yeah, I mean, I know people are upset. Trust me, we get it. You got to win at some point.
You know, inflation, things are expensive, and everybody's
Get it.
So, you know, not a wealthy state, all that stuff, and people are like, well, every game's on television, on the radio.
Texter, I'm listening to you guys discuss NIL, players being played. Do you think players should be called out for playing bad like professional players are? We call out our coaches for what we perceive as bad coaching. Since the players are being paid, shouldn't we also be able to call them out for subpar play? Thoughts? Interesting concept there. I think I've not given that any thought, man.
I would think it's going to move in that direction, yes.
Yeah, probably more so than it is. How much it becomes a fact, how much it happens, I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, you get it.
I think it already happens some, especially at the skill positions, right? We've talked about receivers dropping balls and quarterback missing guys and guys missing tackles. So that gets said already. What you don't know is you can't correlate to the money because you don't know how much money they're getting.
You have to have a list. You can criticize him at 100% capacity because he's making $100,000.
You got to make $100,000. If you make 50, then you only get half the criticism. But you're right. I mean, you don't. To your point, yeah. But I think the sentiment here is, yeah, anything you pay for is going to be open to more criticism than stuff that you're getting for free or performance for free versus guys making, in some cases, a lot of money.
Yeah.
Texter, I was in Lexington, Kentucky last month visiting in-laws. Went to Keeneland Racetrack. They only race in October and April. At the track, I got into a conversation with a woman who asked where I was from. I told her West Virginia. She said, look at the horses in the 7th race. I looked it up. Lo and behold, a horse named Shebway was running. I said to the woman, you kidding me? She said, no, not kidding. And then she asked, why'd West Virginia let him go? I mumbled something about not getting along with a coach. Was that the right answer? Mo in Morgan County. P.S. I boxed Shebway with the favorite. Shebway came in second. I won about $50.
Well played.
So
Shebway gets some name, image, likeness there. Somebody profiting off his name. You get a little cut of the horse.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he does. He's expected to make 2.5 this year.
Point being, he should get a cut of that horse.
Absolutely.
So Mo, and that's crazy how your name's Mo and you're from Morgan County. That's amazing. Would your name be Burke if you lived in Berkeley County?
Since it's gambling, could be Mo Green.
Could be Harry in Hardy County. Mo Green. He's out of the Tropicana. Michael and Fredo can move in now. So that's always been interesting to me because we had Oscar on Huggs' show like 2 days before it happened.
Really?
Yeah. And he was like sitting there because this was during COVID. And we were in Huggs' office and everything was like, it was wonderful. Just everything was good. So obviously he or the folks that represent or handle him didn't feel that he was being used properly, and that ultimately is the question. Did they have a, were they mad at each other leading up to this? No. Surprise. It was a surprise.
It's worked out well for him.
Yeah, quite well. Hoppy, in the understatement of the year category.
That's my specialty. How about a generalization? I can do that too.
Yeah. Texter said, I found this in a large state-run grocery store chain named Publix here in Florida. Didn't buy it based on your discussion. Thanks for the heads up down in Tampa. And he sent me a jar of San Marzano style tomatoes, which is always the deceiving thing.
Oh.
Again, I'll just rephrase. I mean, I'm not going to say this is the last time I talk about San Marzano.
I'm sure.
All I'm saying is San Marzano tomatoes are fine, but don't think you're getting those same exact ones that are like actually in the dirt in Naples because those don't come out. But you can buy San Marzano tomatoes.
They did say style.
Style.
They said style.
Yeah, that's always.
That's the
that was the
disclaimer.
thing that always disclaimed. Like,
Yeah.
that's how I was taken for many years, going like, these are these San Marzano. No, they're style. It's a yeah.
Covered.
We had the other day, and Tony, you won't like this, but a jar of sauce. We buy jarred sauce at the Kirchhoffs.
Soft.
And it was San Marzano style. Okay. But you know what? You take that, add some garlic, add a little olive oil, or grated cheese, and you know what? It's delicious.
Yeah. Why do you do it in a jar? Why don't you just start with the can?
I don't know. It's just jarred sauce. I mean,
Why do that?
because you got to, it's just,
Why do you talk to him about this? You eat what you want. You eat what you like. Don't listen to him.
that's a
He's
good
going to be a
point.
snob about it.
That's a
He
good
only
point.
wants to do it like he does it. Why are you even bringing that up to him?
That's
Don't
good.
worry. You don't have to justify it to him.
No,
you
you're
don't
fine.
even have to answer that question. Why do you do a jar versus a can? Don't let him bully you about food. You eat what you guys like. He's not sitting at your table eating it. Who cares what he says about your food? You eat what you want.
thank you. It
There,
was actually
handled.
pretty good.
I think you're 100% right, Brad. I shouldn't have done that. I food shamed him.
You do it all
I'm
the time.
simply saying, for a guy, I mean, in his elder state as you are,
Yeah.
the less preservatives you can put into your body, you're probably better off. So I would probably lean toward just taking them out of the can and making yourself have her put the garlic in, a little olive oil, salted up the way you want it. Then you're totally fine. But I'm not food shaming you. Good. Go ahead. What's that look? What's that growth you have coming on the side of your head?
I'm already somewhat preserved.
Hey, three guys, this is Tim in Austin.
Says the guy that if there was a bag of a certain kind of candy that you can eat
Oh,
by
yeah.
bunches, he'd just shovel it right in his face.
And he'd say, "What's in my window?" Yeah, I can eat a pound of gummies in my
coloring.
window.
I don't think the coloring's
I was
good for
over
you.
at football today and walked by Lori Rice's desk, and there were 2 Tootsie Rolls there. I looked at my watch. I said, I'm in my window.
About your preservatives.
Yeah.
You don't think Tootsie Rolls are healthy?
Probably not. I mean, I would have eaten them too. I'm
Tim
not
in Austin,
food
love the
shaming you 'cause they're
podcast.
the same, but
You want to know the problem I've had
I
this
don't take
week?
that from him anymore. You
How
just
about-
do- you do what you want to do?
How about this problem this week? So Joan, we overbought Halloween candy, had a ton left. So this is the crazy. So she goes, "You're not going on that trip to Iowa with this candy in this house." She says, "I'm putting it in your truck, and it's going to be, you just park your truck because I don't want it in the house because she'll eat it."
What was it?
Dude, it's-
variety packs, I realize, but like what? Chocolate based or like the Sour Patch Kids based?
Oh, no Sour Patch Kids. We're
all
talking
chocolate. Kit
M&M,
Kats.
M&Ms,
Finger.
Butterfinger, Mounds bars, like all the good stuff.
Kit
So-
Kat and Reese's.
Yes.
Is it still in your car?
Yeah, so you talk about an addict. You talk about a candy addict. This week, like, I'm driving, right? And I'm going like, and I
Back
got
seat
both.
or seat next to you?
Well, I got both seats up in the back, so I'm driving. I'm going like this. Come to a light. Just grabbing stuff.
Yeah.
You should see the thing between my 2 seats.
Wrappers.
A lot of
Wrappers.
wrapper. Heavy
Is there
wrapper.
still some in your car?
About 9 pounds.
Good. As
How
we
many
leave,
did-
hit the unlock button when I go to my
Oh,
car.
you
here. I
can,
might
dude, you
need a
can take
couple.
it all because I'm trying to get rid of it.
What is that really good high-end candy bar? It's like a triangle. The box is a triangle. You know what I'm
Oh, like
talking about?
it was T with a T?
Yeah,
T-R-O?
Toblerone.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Toblerone.
Yeah.
So I had a
You give those guys? You
no,
give
no,
those
no,
out?
no. My former father-in-law did. Oops. Excuse me.
Oh, this thing's going down quick. Good thing it was him. His headset's not him.
No, he would give out
That's podcast. Just
Toblerones.
keep
He
going.
gave those out?
Toblerones.
How much those things
Oh,
cost?
shoot, they're expensive. If you could have a
Anyway.
candy bar right now, what would it be?
Mm.
I'll go first. Reese Cup.
That's my number one. But
That's not a candy bar.
even more.
Those are cups of chocolate.
Yeah, I
You
still
asked about a
ca-
candy
I know,
bar.
I still count it. But I prefer, like I love the peanut butter cups.
Yeah.
But I prefer the holiday event themed version because the peanut butter ratio to the chocolate is better. There's more peanut butter.
What?
It's like during start of football season, they come in football shapes. During Halloween, they come in a shape. During
The Reese
Christmas,
Cups?
you get the Christmas trees. That started with around the Easter holidays. You got them in the egg shape. And they've
Really?
expanded that out because they're so successful. They expanded it to all major holidays. So I prefer the
4th of
special
July?
occasion one. I don't know. I haven't seen one. 4th of
Arbor
July.
Day. I'd like to see the Arbor Day candy.
You've not had the special occasion peanut butter cups?
President's Day.
Yom Kippur.
Canada New Year.
Yeah. Dominion Day in Canada.
That'd be my one. Snickers running a close second.
Tony?
Dude, I am really open to a lot of them.
Kit Kat could slide in for me too.
Kat.
Kit
Kit Kat is
Kat.
nice.
Kit Kat, yes. I think we've had the discussion years ago about Coffee Crisp.
Excuse me?
You know what Coffee Crisp
No,
are?
I never had that.
They're made by Nesco or Nabisco. So any of their Canadian.
Like wafer cookie type
Yeah, it's
things?
it's a Canadian candy bar. And it's got a chocolate wafer thing, and they're pretty thick.
We have
Kind
talked
of
about this.
almost like a sponge candy-ish
Yeah.
type thing. Got a little coffee flavor to it. But in my dad's store, next to the cash register, I don't know what deal he got, but we had a laundry basket, a conventional laundry basket. He would fill it to the rim with Coffee Crisps. And then we had some kind of a special back then. I don't know what the heck it was, like 2 for 30 cents or 2 for 25 cents or whatever, 2 for a dime. I don't even remember. But like, so I'm sitting there working the cash, and now how many times do you think my left arm reached out there?
I don't know how you didn't just put yourself in a food coma by 12.
Strictly
I don't know how you did
strictly
that.
genetics.
Seriously. Oh,
I've-
Twix is way up my list.
Oh, Twix is hot.
Twix is way up my
Absolutely.
list.
I'm not crazy about that caramel. Anyway, Tim in
That's the best
Austin
part.
asks this.
Charleston Chew.
They're really good.
Baby
Love
Ruth.
them. Clark Bar.
They still make Baby Ruths? I didn't see any Baby Ruths at Halloween this time.
I saw some.
Are they still?
Did you
they
see
still-
some?
Yeah.
I didn't see some.
Really undervalued.
Yeah.
Is that what they look like?
Yeah, that's a Coffee Crisp.
Oh.
So Nestle.
It's up
Yeah,
on the screen.
Nestle makes it. Yeah, it's a
You know,
Canadian.
Nestle makes the very best.
Yeah.
I thought
NESTO.
Kit Kat went into heavy production this Halloween season. More Kit Kats than I've ever seen.
You got a whole Kit Kat thing.
You think they
Heavy-
oversaturated the market?
I think they're going to end up at those outlet stores. There's so much production.
You're saying that about 4 months ago, somebody at Kit Kat said, "This year
Kick it in.
we're going.
We're gonna own Halloween. Kicking
I
up
want
production.
up 40%."
Ran a double time in the
flood the
factory.
market.
Yes.
Hey, honey, how was your trip to
Yes.
the store? Oh, I tell you what, honey, I went to Gabe's. I bought these great rubber boots and 400 pounds of Kit Kats.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were there, honey. Only cost $1 for 400 pounds. Anyway, Tim in Austin, I'm like many Mountaineer fans. I live in Texas. I don't think some WVU fans realize how much money is poured into these Texas schools from their wealthy donor base. It is shocking. And yet, they also struggle to win consistently. This is a very competitive conference. This is what makes the wins so satisfying when they come. I believe the NIL business will level out. Teams like Texas have always gotten 5 stars. Seems like we are 500 against UT. I'll be in town this weekend for the OU game. Would love to see a win. I'd appreciate a restaurant suggestion for Friday night. I've been to the most of the regular places in town. Where would you 3 go for a good meal? Please don't suggest Subway.
Nothing wrong with the Subway sandwich.
Let's go Mountaineers. I emailed this gentleman back. You have not emailed me back. I don't like giving restaurant recommendations because it makes other people mad when I don't say their restaurant. So just get me on the QT. Just send me your email via text.
Or
and
just
I'll-
reach out if you're a restaurant. We'll take an NIL deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an option too.
if you're a
Go
restaurant.
through our collective. We've got we're starting a collective.
Thank you. If you're a restaurant and you listen to this program and you want us to say your name on the air, if it's good,
See, that's important.
I'm not going to get on here and schlep a bad restaurant. But if it's a good restaurant and you want your name out there, then we'll do it.
Speaking of which, any update on beer at the Apothecary?
We had a fantastic week of organization.
I had a meeting myself last night about that.
Did you
Really?
meet with them? We've got some
Heavy
things.
movement.
Heavy
movement.
movement. And I want to tell you something, Hoppy.
Yeah.
When we come out, it's just ain't going to be a beer. It's going to be textured. I mean, this lottery pick that we got doing this stuff for us is like...
Might be better than a lottery pick.
Did you like what my response was when he gave us the update on the group text and I said, I'm smiling as I read this? It's true.
Put people in place. Happy things get done.
Good to hear.
This is going to be a
And
great...
good talent evaluation by Caridi and I.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't a hard talent evaluation, though. It was pretty.
Let's see.
Pretty like, really? You want to get involved in this clown show? Love to have you.
Scott in Fredericksburg, I've noticed that the men's basketball team plays with a lot of energy and a much harder edge. I like it, but it leads me to this question. Which will be higher? The number of technical fouls called on the men's basketball players in the month of November, or the total number of wins for the football team?
That's a Brad.
Tease.
We're going to get a lot of teas.
There's some tease coming.
By the way, I asked Hugs last night. We had an over-under on technical fouls by Eric Stevenson.
Yeah.
I posted the number at 6.
Season long?
Yes.
You didn't put a hook in there?
No, it didn't put a hook.
So
Reason?
you could push.
Why? That's a lot. Why?
He's a walking technical foul.
Oh, he is? I mean,
Yeah.
what? Because
He's fiery.
He's fiery. Like, I don't know, at some point he thought it was a good idea during the first game of the season to have a conversation with the head coach of Mount St. Mary's
Oh, did he?
while the game was going on. So I put it at 6. Hugs went under. I think it's a good number, to be quite honest with you. I think it's a pretty good number.
Had a conversation.
Like, so tomorrow night at Pitt, his first taste of the backyard brawl. Now, you do analytics, like what's the probability that based on what he's looked like so far, what's his probability for a technical foul tomorrow?
The yes has got to be minus 1,000. I mean, it's definitely.
Do you think there's a
It's
70%?
the first time someone yaps.
Do you think there's a 70% chance he gets a technical?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, will they have people in the building?
It's going to be, yeah. I heard it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone told me the cost of tickets
I mean,
is
serious. I know they haven't won a lot the last couple
No, I
years.
think,
They will.
this will do it. This will put people
okay,
in.
good. Yeah, then if it's that fiery, cranked up, oh, yeah, that's coming.
He gets one.
Yeah. Set the tone early. Don't
Yeah.
run your mouth at Stevenson.
Texter.
Not going to let it go.
This next text is interesting.
Come back and hit you right enough.
You remember our guy Jumpin' Jack?
Yeah.
He went to college there in Iowa.
Yeah.
A little disappointed he didn't reach out to me because he was about 70 miles away when we were at Ames last week. I thought he'd be there.
He's busy.
They only take one class a semester.
I know, but he's broadcasting too.
That is true.
Might have had a
He
game.
probably had a game.
Yeah.
At the school he goes to, Hoppy, they do one class
In blocks.
in blocks. So you spend like 4 weeks on one class. And
One
that's
class,
your,
one class, one. Right, so spreading
really?
yourself around.
I like that because
Yeah, that's
perfect
interesting.
for me with ADD.
Yeah.
Right, Brad?
No, I think ADD.
Actually,
you want
you
like
need
4
the other way.
classes a day.
You couldn't do the one class.
Oh, well, I wouldn't have to worry about anything else.
I know, but by week 2, you'd be going, is that it? What else we got?
I got this. Go ahead.
Well, all of us,
Anyway.
each one of us has an attention span like a gnat.
What?
Just like moving like.
Yeah, good. All right, on to the next text.
Anyway,
Speaking of which,
he writes in, he said, Scope Spreads and Kurt Javal. Hello. I took an intro to sports journalism class this semester, and one of the projects for the course was for students to create a podcast episode. To make better podcasts, students were supposed to listen and critique a sports podcast by giving 3 pros and 3 cons. As a 3 guys P1 listener, of course, I had to choose 3 guys. I have attached my pros and cons critiques to this text.
Awesome.
Thank you, and I love the show, Jumpin' Jack in Mount Vernon, Iowa.
Awesome.
So when I saw this, I thought to myself, well, this is cool. He's going to give us like really super high grades. He just busts our ass.
Jack did?
Yeah.
He's always been so positive and supportive of the program.
Yeah, well,
now he's away from us. Now he's turned.
Now you know how kids, when they get to college, they know everything now.
what'd he say?
This is what he said. The podcast, number 1, this is cons. The podcast was not an entirely buttoned up show. The host of the podcast did not have a clear understanding of the promotion, as they had not reviewed the promotion off air prior to beginning to record the podcast.
That's fair. That's accurate.
That's right. He's right.
Nailed
Okay,
it.
go ahead. One button up. Yeah, okay.
Number 2,
1 for 1.
the podcast did not talk about West Virginia University football much. Instead, they focused on the conference at large. This was surprising in the sense that the podcast was supposed to have West Virginia University football and basketball focus. However, West Virginia University had played their football game for the weekend last Thursday, and the podcast had already released their game recap episode last Friday. So basically what he said was, we just BS'd around because we had done the
We'd
post.
already done the post game.
Well, so I take issue with Jack on that because that wasn't.
But he did reference that it was the second podcast after the game.
Yeah, but that had to be because the game was played on a Thursday.
All right, so we'll give him a half a point on that.
The third con was the podcast often got sidetracked during the text portion of the show. Topics range from someone's personal train trip to the next West Virginia University football game to a review of Zaxby's meal offerings. Yeah.
Was that a pro? He had that in pros, right?
That was a con. Here's the pro.
He should know better. He's listened to the show since episode 1.
He's sucking up to the
that
professor.
That shouldn't have been a con.
Sucking up to the professor.
Oh, I need to talk to that professor.
Turn his back on us. Pros.
Not how you do.
We're joining that class.
Not how you do a podcast.
Pros.
Follow the guidelines.
The podcast is very engaging with its listeners. A sponsor of the podcast offered a promotion to listeners who attended their store. The promotion was connected to the outcomes of WVU athletic events during the upcoming week. 2, the podcast reviewed in depth the games of the weekend in WVU's conference, the Big 12. They spent more than 20 minutes of the podcast talking about the outcomes of Kansas versus Duke, Oklahoma versus Kansas State, and other Big 12 matchups from the weekend. Number 3, the podcast gave team and individual statistics for WVU and the Big 12 as a whole. They gave some important context to where WVU as a team and individually stacks up against their conference foes. So there you go. And then he submitted the podcast to his professor.
Uh-oh.
So.
Sure we picked up a new listener there.
You think the prof?
Probably.
This will be an example of here are the mistakes many people make when doing a podcast.
Matthew from Morgantown Kroger. I love this team already. And by this team, I mean hoops. I love the energy, toughness, effort, feisty grit of the group. We as West Virginia fans can tolerate losses. Trust us. We're used to them. But you have to give effort, unlike the football team. See, I think the football team tries. I think Texas Tech, they didn't. They got blowed out. But I think other than that, they played hard. It hasn't been good enough. Texter, hello, TC, Senator Spreads, Hooks, and Uncle H3. This is Tommy Boy from Independence. I was laughing so hard when the Senator was straightening the clothes at Daniels. I, too, like to organize my clothes. I've included a great Instagram tutorial for the Senator to use and practice on while y'all are at the next trip to Daniels. Also, I, too, agree with y'all about changing the salary structure for college coaches. I've been in the pharma, biotech, medical sales for 25-plus years. I'm an at-will employee, which they can terminate me without real cause. I get a base, and the real money is in the bonus. This has been a great motivator for my career, but should also be implemented in the college setting. It could make it easier for her to hire and fire coaches. This should make the fans, donors, and the university have a better control of their brand while motivating coaches to uphold their end because of the huge bonus payout. Love the podcast, but I really love watching y'all on video. It's even better. Uncle H3's smile shines so much brighter on the big screen.
There you go. You know, I had a good week at Daniels this week.
Huh? What? You were back at Daniels?
Yeah, I had a good week. Good productive week for me in there.
What were you doing, folding?
Did some folding and straightening. Also sold a pair of pants.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, helped the guy.
What do you mean by that?
Well, Phil was I mean, there were multiple customers. I told you there's constant flow of people through there. Phil was on one side of the building getting a guy fitted for suits. So there was a customer. Had some questions about some pants. So I jumped in and assisted, answered the questions.
What kind of questions did he have, and how did you
there's some
answer them?
inseam questions, and wanted to know what the inseam was and how they worked, how they felt, how much you had to iron them. There's just a bunch of questions.
And
did you answer them?
Yeah. Handled it. Guy bought them.
For sale?
Sold a pair of pants. No.
Did you tell him you didn't work there?
No.
He thought you did because you had a sport coat
I
on.
did have a sport coat on that day. I thought
Oh,
I
really?
worked there. So I thought I worked there. I mean, what am I going to say? Sorry, I can't help you. I knew the answers to the questions. Why wouldn't I just help?
Did you try to upsell him, like, also, no,
I did. I did. I said, by the way, these vests are awesome. Do you want to? You go, nah, not a vest guy. Okay, well, how about this? You like this hooded?
Did you?
Yes. True story. Hand to gun.
You're perfect for that,
Did you take him? I thought you would also take him over to the tie counter. Listen, a tie would be a nice tie to go with this.
He's not a tie guy. We discussed that. Not a tie guy. He was more in the casual
Where was he
sportswear
from?
section.
Where was he from?
Elkins, I believe. Very nice guy.
Did he know you?
No.
He had no
Thought I
idea who
worked
you
there.
were. He thought you were. That's
Yeah,
awesome. I
it was
love
great.
that.
Now he's going to see the podcast or hear about it and go,
No, he won't.
You know,
He obviously
I
doesn't
bought
listen.
I bought this
He
from the
obviously doesn't watch or listen to the podcast.
Well, he's going to hear it. West Virginia's small.
Someone's
He's
gonna
going to
tell?
hear about it. Somebody's going to say, you know, you bought pants from a guy that
I have the pants he bought, though. I mean, I'm not out there schlepping stuff I don't have. I have the exact pair of pants. So who gives a better testimonial? He asked about the pants. I love the pants.
Did you also say,
little stretch to
did you
him?
give him like, hey, listen, before you, let's take these back here and press them for you. Did you do that?
Well,
You
then Phil came out and got him measured and
You didn't bring him over
tailored
to
and all that.
You
They
didn't bring him
handled
you didn't walk in with Harry and go like, hey Harry,
No,
you need
I
to take the
didn't
cuffs
take
off
that
on these
liberty. No, I
ones."
just answered the question. Stayed in my lane. I answered the questions. Tried to upsell to a vest.
How good's Harry?
Awesome.
Hey,
I ever tell you the Harry story, Hoppy?
Wait a minute, did you have the tape around your neck?
I didn't. But I'm going to ask Phil for one next time I go in.
Hey,
need
can you get some of that?
But
Hey,
he thought I worked. I mean, I did have a sport coat on, and I was straightening one of the mannequins, so I can see why you would think I was working there. Had some time. I told you, what am I going to do? Just stand there and look around? Might as well make myself useful while I'm there.
You know what? Well done on your part. Good
Trying
job.
to-
listen, in order for you to become official, you need that tape measure around your neck.
Yeah.
You need the pins.
Yeah, Phil always has
pins.
pins in the
Phil
yeah.
always
Yeah,
has pins, on his
Yeah.
on his
sleeve.
sleeve.
Yeah.
And you got to have some of that chalk.
Yeah.
Like I want some of that. What is that? Is that soap? It's soap.
soap,
Is that
I
what it
think,
is?
Yeah, it's soap.
That you mark the pants.
I love
Yeah,
those
that's-
guys. I love those guys when they just like magic. They just
Yeah.
like and like the soap's in their hand. They go like,
Yeah. No, I let Phil handles the
and then I like when they just like
alterations. I don't touch
they
that
just go
hobby.
like they'll go inside your inseam. They'll just go like. I go, you need more? No, that's good.
Yeah,
He's
they
got it.
fold the cuff on the bottom where
there's
you got to
four-
cut the bottom.
But there's 4 pairs of pants. Don't
got
worry.
it.
I'll
Got
just
it.
need it for one. We got it.
Yeah.
We got it. So like Harry, and this is
No, you should stop over sometime and see us at the
So
store.
here's the
Somebody,
deal.
if I was there and somebody accidentally asked me, which they wouldn't look at me, you know, and I would run screaming from the store.
Dude, if they saw you in there, they'd go like, hey, what's the price of gas at Sheetz?
Hey, what time's the Shoney's buffet?
Harry the Tailor is like world class,
Oh, really?
right? He's from Turkey. So guy comes in one day, has a problem with a suit. And like guy goes, hey, like, can you fix this? Harry took out like another tool that isn't the wax, isn't the pins. Like it's this thing that cuts through seams, like it's a jagged thing.
Oh, okay.
The guy's wearing the coat and he goes, stay still. He said, stay still. You know, there's a seam in the back of a sport coat, right? He went, and like the coat went, and the guy went like, he goes, I take care. Then he took the soap out, said, take off, put it on there, guy
Fix it. That was kind of child's play, though. I mean, Harry's the kind of guy you could walk in and say, I need a sport coat. Do you have it? And I don't have it, and I don't have one.
No,
he'd
he's-
just go in the back. He'd make you a sport coat.
You throw
He could
him
do
a
the whole
big,
thing.
you could throw him a big thing of fabric and
Say,
go like,
I
can
need
you
a
make
sport
something?
coat.
Like, okay, I got it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
World class.
there's some people out there all they can do is cuffs. Like Harry can make the suit.
You bring him a cuff, he's like, okay, I got it.
Yeah, he's
When are
like,
they going to meet there?
well, we kind of meet when you're on the
every
air. We meet when you're normally on the air.
Brad's working there now. What hours are you working, Brad? I'll come by. I'm there 2 to 4. Come on.
Charles in Wyoming. 3 guys, a comment and a question. First, I'm still processing the fact that there was the smaller, slimmer version of Jimmy Bell we saw on opening night. He lost a ton of weight. Jimmy's got great feet. Secondly,
Great feet.
if you had a wagering opportunity in front of you of 3 options, all paying around plus 150, which of these would you guess to start week 1 next year? JT, Nico, or anyone else
Good
being in the field? Charles in Wyoming.
Give me JT for plus money.
Okay.
What's wrong?
This will require a couple of minutes. I'll just do it. I'll do it as efficiently as possible. A bunch of texts. And again, we get more text than we can use. So if you don't hear your text, nothing personal. Just we cover the general themes of the text that aren't used. I should say that. One of them is this. One asks about Shane Lyons and the contract extension that he gave and the ultimate buyout, right? There seems to be some lack of a better word, either misunderstanding or revisionist history about when Neil was given an extension. So let's kind of go back on that. And this is what I'll put it all out for you. When Neil was given a contract extension, it was after his second season, and they had just won a bowl game. And at that time, the thing that was in play was a couple things. One being that he had got this thing up. They won a bowl game. They beat Army. 6, okay, hey, here we go, right? He had won where he had been at Troy, and everything was like, cool. Then you had the Auburn, South Carolina jobs, and his name was starting to be mentioned, right? And so the move that they made, right, the university made was, let's lock him in. We like where this is going right now. We think we know where this thing is going, right? That's one aspect of it. And so people, I think, are often asking, like, why do you guarantee, why is the buyout what the buyout is? There's two ways to play this. Most of the contracts within the Big 12 are either full remaining salary or about 75% of the remaining life of the contract. That's kind of where this is. I think that, so Neil's salary is toward the bottom of Big 12 salaries among the other coaches, okay? So I think if you look at this thing, since they weren't paying him the mid to higher range in the league, the negotiation was, okay, fine, but 100% of what's remaining on the contract, since his salary is now about 9 or 10 in the league among the other coaches, 8, 9, or 10. So I don't offer that to change your opinion, but I just wanted to kind of like, that's the perspective of it back in the day of how that all came about. I just think sometimes people, they're jumping all over a fire Shane, The deal was the deal because that's the deal. That's how the world works in the Big 12 conference. That's what the paying going rate was. They gambled. They thought the come was coming. Still might come. But that's the reality of how that thing came about.
Could you pay a coach more money up front and not be on the hook for the buyout?
Yeah.
Pay him 6 and not be on the hook for the 16?
You could do that. You could have done that. You could do that. But West Virginia is traditionally in the lower range of the salaries.
Brad?
Well, it's just it's an industry situation, as we've talked. I mean, it just really shouldn't be that way. Now, one school can't make a stand on that because then you're afraid you won't get your guy, but it just really shouldn't. These 100% buyouts, man, it really puts schools in some tough situations here. Now, if I'm a coach, I'm absolutely asking for that too, right? I'm getting everything I can out of it because you're going to get irrational at some point and not want to give time, and you're going to. So I get both sides of that, but it does put you in an incredibly bad spot at times.
3 guys, I know you guys may doubt your ability to make it to 800 episodes. I have 2 words for you. Load management. Tony and Hoppy, you both have sons in the industry. Have them fill in from time to time. Senator, I believe you have a son, correct? Nah, but we can get him one. When you guys hang it up, your boys can carry on the torch as 3 sons before the game. I'd love to hear their stories of what it was like having you 3 gentlemen as fathers. Their nicknames, Little Hops for Ben, Mini-Me for Andrew, because he's the spitting image of Tony, and El Presidente instead of the Senator. Seth in Williamstown.
So Gigi and Matt and Ben.
Be a good show. Be a good show.
It would be.
Yeah. Jennings, P1 Jennings, Kanawha Valley. Scope, Spread, Subs. Just want to say thanks to TC taking a few minutes after the basketball game, introducing me to Jay Jacobs. Yeah, that's always a thrill. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for this podcast, and be on the lookout for a food package coming from the Kanawha Valley in early December. That's a pretty good deal.
Nice preview there. Nice foreshadowing.
Matt in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Guys, will there ever be another Javon Carter? Under-recruited kid, spent 4 years working his tail off, getting better under a Hall of Fame coach. Now look at him. I really wish more young men would follow his lead. It would be in their best self-interest to do it in most cases, right? So for those that may have not seen it yet, Javon Carter had his career of career nights last night. 36 points, a dozen assists, great stat line. Milwaukee was playing without some of their starters, so they said, go play, and he played.
Yeah,
and
That was awesome.
That was what a night.
That was then it was in double overtime or something.
Yeah, double overtime. They
so
won, beat the Thunder.
He's kind of hit that stage now where he understands the game. He's adjusted to that game. He's comfortable in the game, and he's really playing. That was fun to see on a great team.
Yes.
On a title contending team.
It was funny. They had some highlights from the sideline last night just to see Giannis, like, giving him a shout on the sideline. He'd go, "Go, Bulldog!" You go, Bulldog. So,
Well, once you get there, too, I mean, it's very hard to break in. It's very hard to stick. But once you've stuck, you can hang there for a while.
Yeah. And
exactly right, Hoppy.
He's bringing a lot of value.
Yeah.
He's building his brand now. He's going to last. Now he's going to be the 8, 9, 10-year guy, and he's going to make a lot of money.
Yep.
And to the point that Matt made there about Javon, he is one of those kids that's in the top 5 all time since I've been here of work. He and James Long were teammates, and James was like, and Javon, they would go to inside the facility, and they would just work and work constantly, like around the clock. Those guys would always work, and it paid off. He had a Joe Alexander type desire to be excellent. And there's been a few through the years, but it's just this myopic, almost OCD goal to be in the NBA. And he did it. Think about this. He got cut by the Brooklyn Nets. And now he's giving them a huge Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman. Right? Nets! Right.
And, he's never going to be the franchise guy, but he don't have to be. So he'll be around, right? I mean, it'll be like 4 years from now, like, oh, somebody picked up Javon Carter. He's going to be there for a year.
Exactly. No, he's like I said, stays healthy, which he probably will because he doesn't drink. He takes care of himself. He doesn't do anything stupid. He will have a long career, which would be awesome.
I'll give you one Pitt analytic before we get out of here. I know you're about ready to hit the music. I'll give you one Pitt number.
Go ahead.
And they're not great analytics yet because you're only one game in the season.
Yeah, they're really not.
But try and run a little bit here on these guys.
Huh?
Try and run a little bit.
Why?
Well, the first game against Pitt, highest point per possession for the opposing team against Pitt came with 0 to 10 seconds on the shot clock.
With 0 to 10 seconds.
So they were running. They got out and got some opportunities there.
Yeah.
So get out and run a little bit.
Good stat.
So they played Tennessee Martin. And last night, Moorhead beat Tennessee Martin. Moorhead's in here Tuesday. So let's go. Right?
We'll have deeper analytics as the basketball season moves on.
Yeah. All right. Music's on. I lost track of time. What time did we?
Oh, my gosh, it's like 5 o'clock.
Sports line up next.
I will tell you this. It is dark outside.
On many of these same stations.
It's 2:30 in the afternoon. 2:30 in the afternoon.
Go back over and restart
dark
Talk Line.
outside. It's 2:30. Once again, a reminder, whatever the over is Saturday afternoon when the ball goes into the air, if the two teams go over that number, you get $500 from our good friends at Burdett Camping. That's right. They'll pay you $500 on parts, sales, and service when you spend $1,000 if the game goes over on Saturday. Visit them in Winfield or online at burdettcamping.com. And from the fantastic folks at Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer, ComaxWV.com. ComaxWV.com. They'll come in, free inventory of your IT services. They'll let you know where you're good and where you're bad and how they can help. 24/7 remote monitoring gives you a peace of mind. With the gentleman that we're efforting with on the Hoppy project, I think, Brad, is that right? We might have an update next week at some point. Yeah, may have an update for you. All right. For our producer, Hancock County, Pleasants County, Doddridge County, Mercer County, Berkeley Spring, forget it, Jingleheimer Smith, Kennedy, we're out.
Mercer
County,
Greenbrier,
Capon State Park.